Well, I think we're live, so let's get this thing started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, conceal carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the War Room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
and we are back once again into Sunday afternoon, and we are tucked away in the War Room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And Eli is joining me today again.
Yo. I like it, man. I got a permanent partner in crime. I love this. And I'm just to jump on here and say that, we are live again. And it looks like at least someone is actually 3 people are watching it. So hopefully everyone is hearing some audio, because I'm using this new program to stream both to YouTube and to the Patriot Defense Facebook page, which that in turn could be a problem. But I don't quite know how to use this. So supposedly, if you're commenting, I can see comments. I'm thinking, I'm not sure. Okay, there we go. All right, Sam got on there and he let us know.
So we know who's watching it.
We know who's watching. So,
your mom, my mom, and
Sam. my mom hopefully is not watching. Actually, my family is probably watching this in there and in the house. And so they're probably making fun of me right now. My son is in there with his friend, and so they might be making fun of us right now. But we'll see. There's a lot going on here. I almost need like a producer. I'm running this. I'm trying to look at you. I'm trying to look at the screen, and I just hope this goes well.
Yeah,
I just hope this goes well. So that's. We need to talk about the weather. We always talk about the weather on this podcast. So
Yes.
Here we are. We thought we were, we got through winter. We had like an early spring, like in December.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of getting cold, man. I woke up this morning, piles of snow out there.
Yeah. It came in thick. I think it was around, because I was up, I want to say 11 something. That's when I looked out my back door and saw it coming in.
I didn't look until, 4:00 this morning. And I was like, holy cow, freaking snow, man. It needs to go away. It really kind of just dampened my spirits a little bit.
Yeah. Same with my chickens. They were just hiding.
Or they hide.
Yeah,
I haven't even gone out to check mine out yet. I'm not sure. I'm sure the ducks liked it.
Yeah.
But I went out this morning and, I went to run like I usually like to do. On Sunday mornings is my long run day. I didn't get my long run in. It was cold and it was snowy. But when I did run this morning, a lot of times people ask me what I carry when I run. Well, normally I've learned, I started off carrying a Ruger, like an LCR chambered in like 357. It wasn't too bad, kind of heavy. And I've also ended up carrying a Springfield Armory 45 caliber shield as well. I don't have that I don't have either of those particular guns anymore. So I've actually started carrying this, a little Keltec, and I forget what model it is, but it's just a little 380, a little homemade holster. It clips right into my running vest. Really light. Don't even notice that it is there.
Nice.
And so, that's what I carry. I don't know that I carry that on a daily basis, but it's good for running, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the raccoons and the porcupines get rabid. That 380 is enough to stop that porcupine, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking anyway. So that's kind of what I carry when I'm out running. It works.
Yeah.
If you have something too big and bulky, it's a little tough.
Yeah.
Tough. So we don't have a whole lot. We're going to depend on a lot of people to comment today. I was more focused on getting this whole thing set up today. Than I was coming up with necessarily content for the podcast. So I'm relying on some comments over here. We probably won't respond to the comments, via typing, but we will. It's just much easier to glance and see the comment and talk about it. But I will say I do have a complaint. So far, I don't know, what is it? I ordered my new gun from Langdon Tactical, my P30. I ordered that on January 8th. So I think I'm 3 weeks in now. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think so.
About 3 weeks in, and I'm waiting for this thing. And it says it might take up to like 6 weeks. So I'm at the halfway point, I'm thinking. I'm really looking forward to it. I want it to show up every day. I'm constantly checking my email to see. I click on, we talked about before, I click that little button to see if it shipped. It still says awaiting fulfillment. Just do it already. Do it already and ship it to me. For those of you guys who may not know what the P30 looks like, the HK P30, this is what it's actually going to look like. Mine's going to be cut for an optic. And I don't know if this one was done at Langdon Tactile or not, but it's got the same trigger that I'm going to get, the aftermarket trigger. I'm throwing that in there. And if you look at these grips, this going to kill Magnum. He's not going to like this. But those are what we call Talon grips. And I bought a pair of Talon grips right here. And where's it? Oh, you guys can't see. How do I do this? Let's get rid of this. And so I've got some Talon grips right here, and I'm going to end up throwing those on that gun when they come in and just see if it works for me, because we went into that long story about how I messed up my hand years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a weakling with no grip strength. So we'll see how that goes. I know Magnum was beside himself that I was going to mar up that fine looking weapon with stickers, with skateboard tape. It can pull. I can pull it off. I can pull it off if I have to. But let's just kind of jump in to this, since it seems to me like, according to everything I'm seeing, that the live is going well, right? Is that kind of what you're seeing? Looks to me like it's going. Look at that. I'm gonna mess around here and do a bunch of stuff. That looks slick. Look at that.
Yeah.
Nice. So we have an opportunity here on the podcast, and you've been a great benefit to the podcast because you're ex-law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so we've got your take on a few things, which is kind of cool. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and get your take on, not your take, but I have some questions for you.
All right.
So I always hear all the time, and I believe it too. I hear all the time about law enforcement and their training that they get as far as firearms training, as far as like, I won't say rifle training. Let's talk about handgun training. That's what I want to talk about today. And you guys have to qualify like twice a year.
Yeah, January and July for my department.
Yeah, so that's typically with all departments twice a year. Is that kind of what it is?
I don't know. I can't speak for every department, but
okay, gotcha.
I think it was post requirement, probably within at least California, twice a year.
Okay, and so what I wanted to talk about is, what did you guys learn in your training? Like, is it? I mean, what was it? Just fundamentals? Was it distance? I mean, did you learn reloads, mag changes, and hiding behind cover? How much did you focus on like drawing the firearm, and learning to shoot like that, from the draw? It's what I was kind of curious about, because I know that there is actually law enforcement officers who are more and more into firearms. Like they will go and take classes on their own, and I've heard this because necessarily maybe the money's not there to, and maybe you will have a whole different say to that, but like the money's not there for all this training, and I'm not sure that the law enforcement officers necessarily get the firearms training that they need or deserve, and I just kind of want to get your take on there. So just jump in, man.
Oh, well, yeah, there's a lot to that. So starting in the academy, we start off, you have basically the martial arts aspect, which gets into gun retention as well. So we go through that training throughout the academy. Yeah. I did the 10-month academy. So yeah, it was basically throughout the whole portion, except for maybe the last month, even then the test and stuff.
Gotcha.
Go into that. So you have that part, gun retention. And then, so for the actual firearms, going to the range, in the academy, start off static shoot. You have static shoot in the during the day, and then you have static shoot during the night, and so those are separate times. So I forget what that was.
So like during the daylight and then in the dark.
Yeah. Okay. So I think each one was probably about 8 weeks. I think 6 to 8 weeks. And so the day one you're doing, you start off with the basics.
Gotcha.
Drawing your firearm, shoots, press, don't pull the trigger. So you do everything from say like 3 yards out to, I think we went out to maybe 50 yards or so.
How hard did they drive home like the fundamentals? I mean, if someone is having a big issue, they hit it harder than others, or how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the tests come into play. We had tests for static shoot during the day, and so they typically before the testing day, we would have more of an intense kind of slow down, see where everyone's at, and work on everybody's kind of weaknesses, in which that's when they would have give us more, not necessarily one-on-one, but definitely smaller groups in which they could kind of watch us in our fundamentals.
Gotcha.
I would say in comparison to Air Force basic training, it was way more in depth. Air Force basic training, you're basically maybe an hour class.
Well,
and
and
then you go out and qualify.
military, you guys are mostly doing rifle stuff, or is that different for the Air Force?
No, we did do handguns as well.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah,
Most of the stuff I hear, and I don't know if I've had anyone on the Air Force in here, but most of them are like, yeah, no, that was like, you could go do the handgun stuff extra if you wanted to.
Yeah, we had to qualify on both, but it's Air Force as well, so
Gotcha.
not much firearm
Yeah.
In comparison to the other branches. But yeah, so we do that. Yeah, then you have your day shoot test, and basically that is you could fail one time, and then you have your remediation, and that's typically like the next day, I believe.
Okay.
And if you fail again, you're out of the academy.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
So what were now maybe you said it, I'm sorry. I'm trying to run this computer at the same. I just realized the thing wasn't plugged in. So I needed to get it charging. So fail what? So what was the requirement? What did you have to pass?
So like the static shooting, right? It started off not too difficult, but I think it was something like, shooting the Coke bottle as far as, the body, the head.
The humanoid deal. Yeah.
So it probably was something along those lines. It was not too difficult. Probably went out to maybe 25 yards, and then some kind of basically they just look to see after each one where your rounds hit. If you had too many rounds outside of the designated area,
like the A zone, is that like the center mass type?
So
deal?
And then up close, it was typically where we would do the head shots. Again, this is more so for aim, not teaching us to necessarily shoot the head.
Right.
But
a smaller target.
Yeah. So they might say, hey, 2 shots to the head, and then 5 to the torso, something like that, within the Coke bottle. And then so they would then look, and if you based off of, say, it was a total of 7 rounds, right? It was all right. Everyone's done shooting. They would go look at your target. And obviously, if you had so many outside, if it was, don't remember the exact number, but say it was 7, it was like, if you didn't have at least 5 within that, then that was, a failure.
Okay.
And then that would add up, because it would do, say, like 3 yards, move back to 9 yards, 15 yards, and then they had us do a similar test at each different distance away.
How much did they have you? How much did they teach you, and how long did they give you to practice and train what they taught you before you had to take the test?
Yeah, I think it was about 6 to 8 weeks. So usually,
so you had
So it was plenty of time, and they ramped it up. And like I said, like it was the week prior. That's when they wouldn't give us the test, and I think that was against obvious post. They can't just say this is your test, but they would run us individually through each.
You would run through exactly what you're going to do on the test.
Basically, actually, and I think credit to the instructors that I had, they actually made it more difficult.
Oh, good.
So you get to the test, you'd be kind of like, okay, if this is what we did last week, it's going to be tough, but I'll get it. And then you get there, and not that it wasn't tough, but it was like, oh, there's a couple less things here.
Did you have to go in individually and shoot, or you all just stand there on the line and shoot?
Individually, yeah. That's
so there's a little pressure.
Yeah. The stress level, we would sit in the. Trying to remember how would we do that.
It doesn't take much to up your stress level a little bit.
Yeah.
When you're shooting by yourself. I do it in class, and some people just crumble.
I'm trying to remember. I think like the static shoot, that was as a group, because that was just static.
Gotcha.
So we were just on the line, and you're just shooting at a static target. When we got to the tactical, that's when you're by yourself, and literally there's the instructor behind you the whole time,
because you're moving.
Clicks, and you're moving, and he's there. And like I know, I had a little incident.
So what did you have to do for the tactical? Is it just like you have all these? Is it kind of like a qualifying? Is that pretty much what it was? Or what'd you have to do?
That's basically when we got the still targets out, and so it might be something kind of like you got set up here, where you gotta
so many seconds for so many shots, and
Yeah,
you got to
exactly.
perform like a reload or
Exactly. So say you have you put 10 in the magazine, right?
oh, you almost said clip. You almost said clip, man.
10 in the magazine. Purposely say like because there was 10 shots and they knew we want you to have to reload, so
Right.
maybe you don't do the full 17 or whatever it was. So you're moving, shoot this still target, ding, 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 and then moving on. So you're moving.
Gotcha.
At one point, for the tactical 2, you get into shotgun. You have your shotgun and your handgun.
Okay, so you're doing like a 2-gun thing.
Yeah, and you have to be able to switch as well.
Oh,
even with
gotcha.
the shotgun, that got into you have your
Transitions.
transitions, and with the shotgun, you had your slug and your buck rounds too. So you had to be able to transition.
So were
there
you
as well?
with your shotgun? You guys don't run a sling.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Okay, I was wondered what you guys how that was
Yeah, no,
how
you're
that
just-
was working. So okay,
Yeah. So we had a sling for that, and so in comparison to the static shoot, and like I was saying, they build you up. So the tactical shoot is like towards later on, and it's a build up from the static shoot up to that.
Gotcha.
So you do the static shooting day, and then like 8 weeks later, after you test, you pass the day shoot static, then you move on to night shoot, which gets into proper use of your flashlight, things like that.
okay.
How it goes into flashlight holds, different methods of holding your flashlight at night.
Did you have anyone just bomb out of it? I'm just curious.
Yes, I would say range was probably the biggest loss we had as far as people who failed out, because then you got evoc as well.
And then they just send you home at that point.
Yeah, that was.
You didn't. I mean, like you have this. You have 2 times to do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you're out.
So, and that's what was an intense thing. You talk about stress. It was
sure.
Like you could do fine. You're doing the practice rounds. Like I said, they did a good job at like really preparing you to where you weren't under prepared for the actual test, and still, nerves come out.
Oh, they do.
And you know how it is too. Like, and they would tell us this for the sake of the test. It's like, don't throw your rounds, right? And that's where you miss once, and next thing you know, you're just unloading and you're just missing, and because you only have so many rounds in your magazines as well. So, and that takes time away too. So it's like, no, if you miss, you're on the timer, but take a deep breath.
A lot of times,
and press and just get it right. Don't start just going, I missed, and just letting off rounds.
I used to do at the end of my permit classes, I used to think of bullseye targets. And they'd have 2 rounds, right? Because they have to fire 98 rounds. So they have 100 rounds with them. So let's just go one person at a time and let's, shoot 2 rounds into the bullseye. And I used to tell them, I was like, that first round, if it doesn't go where you want it to, there's a little bit of pressure here. Everyone's watching you. It's dead quiet. Everyone's watching. I'm not timing you. And if they pull that first shot, I was like, forget it. You can't get that one back. Focus on the next one. Yeah. And a lot of times they would just slap the trigger again. Right? Yeah. They just start wasting them. And, and so in like you call it tactical, or there's some kind of deal where you've got like 5 seconds for 4 rounds or 6 rounds or whatever it is. Yeah. That's actually, it's stressful, but it's quite a bit of time.
Yeah, it is. And there's a point, I forget if we got tested or if that was just part of the training, but there is the timer stuff too. Yeah. I think at some point we did have to test on that with the static shoot.
The shot clock, yeah.
It was just like shoot at Liberty. It was like you got like 5 seconds, to shoot in these spots. So that was it. Yeah, because you hear that beep and all of a sudden it's just like, even if you were just practicing just the day before, you hear that beep go on and you're like, oh,
can't you just choke?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a good primer though, because I mean, if you're gonna have to use your gun like while you're on duty, you're gonna be like trying to survive.
Yeah, and I mean, and it goes. Yeah, there was a lot. So there's even we get pepper sprayed at one point.
Oh yeah,
and have to perform.
You have to shoot while you're pepper sprayed.
What did we do? I think for the pepper spray one, we did. You get maced in the eyes. Then you
sounds like a fun afternoon.
You have to fight a dummy, but then you go to the mat
Have to cuff someone?
Yeah, someone tries to take your firearm.
Oh, man.
You have to keep them from doing it, get them in a little wrist lock, and get them to the ground and handcuff them. You can't see that. That was pretty fun. That was probably one of the more memorable.
Like if you didn't get that done, would they fail? Would you
that
fail
one?
out?
That one. So each academy is different. Ours,
Right.
as far as I know, post requirements, it is not a requirement. Our academy,
But they want to put you through it because
Yeah.
if you have to do it, I mean,
Yeah, and mainly, also just so you know, you're able to perform when maced, because most often people don't always know this, but if your partner's spraying pepper spray, you're probably going to get hit by it.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I always tell everyone too, this is Idaho. I hear a lot of people that say, well, I don't carry a firearm, I'm going to carry pepper spray. I'm like, well, that's fine.
Yeah,
But guess what happens in Idaho? Like all the time.
yeah,
The freaking wind blows.
yeah. You better hope it's not
Yeah.
blowing your way.
Yeah, you better hope
it's going to be you and the
you're
suspect both coughing.
yeah, you're gonna get hit with some of that at one point. I mean, so
yeah,
we talk about that as well. So that was all in the academy.
yeah. And then the other part, what we call it, sustained conflict. That was another test that basically wrapped up all the academy, in which you got to fight a couple of guys. You got to switch from firearm to fighting to running a couple of times. That one was real intense as well. But yeah.
So when you get out of academy, right, and you're
Mhm.
like in service or whatever you guys are going to call it, right? You have to qualify twice a year.
Yeah.
So do you do anything else as far as shooting?
It's just firearm and taser and
Is it as intense as what you did like in the academy?
No,
or is
not
it
at all. Basically, once you're in, and you just have to qualify. It's pretty basic. I think we only go as far as maybe 9 yards out, maybe 15.
Well, most of your stuff, honestly, is going to be pretty close.
Yeah, it
anyway.
is. And so it's just more about, just that, being within close range, being able to hit that target. I think we do still have a timer, I want to say. But it's pretty basic. It's like guys who work at the courthouse or something who never pull their fire, they could go and pass it and then put it back and let it go rusty again. It's not
right.
It's nothing to really fail you out or to lose your job.
So if you go to qualify and you don't pass qualification, do they just let you redo
basically
it?
you stick around that day
until you get it?
And it's like, everyone else, come get your stuff signed off. Hey, Bill,
Yeah.
come do it again real quick.
What kind of firearms did you? I mean, I'm sure the academy had firearms for you. What did you shoot in the academy, and was that different from what you actually carried when you were on?
No, it was the same. It was the Glock.
The Glock
17.
Glock
And then,
17. Okay.
What was that? I think we had a Mossberg.
Could you guys,
but the shotgun thing changed not too long after the academy. They took away our shotguns, basically.
I know some departments let their officers carry backup guns. Were you guys?
Yeah, as long as you qualify. So that day when you go to qualify, you're twice a year. You bring your backup gun if you carry one.
Did they regulate? Because the backup gun is typically going to be your personal gun. So did they regulate what you could carry for your backup gun, or how did that work? I'm just curious.
Not that I recall. I think you had to get approval from the range master, but mainly it was bring it with you when you qualify. Range master takes a look at it, and then you have to qualify with that as well. And then was there a popular model or gun that people? As far as backup, I can't even say I know anyone who did have a backup, to be honest.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think when I went out to test, I think there was probably a couple people I remember if you have a backup, stick around. But it was by far not the majority of people.
Okay, question, and maybe you don't know this. This is just me, strictly curiosity. If you carried a backup gun, I mean, did you carry department issued ammo that you had to account for in it, or how did that work? Because I know they account for all the stuff in your duty weapon, right?
Yeah, and so it would be. That's a good question, because with different firearms that people can have, I think they just had to be approved by the range, both your ammo and your backup firearm.
Gotcha.
And from there, I think a lot of people didn't, basically because that's the thing, it's your personal thing. So if you ever had to use it and stuff, it's taken away from you.
Gotcha.
All this investigation, it was just easier to carry the the department.
So if you're going to
stuff.
carry a backup gun, carry this piece of shit Keltec right here because it's probably like
Yeah.
$200,
Yeah.
right? And you carry that thing, and then you don't have to worry about it.
As I used to call it, was a throwaway gun.
Ooh, throwaway guns.
There's some not so great.
Yeah.
With that, but yeah, that'd be your throwaway.
It's what you
gun right
planted on people. I'm
there.
sorry.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: and I know, I've heard, right, that obviously, and even from what you said, you didn't say this, but this is what I'm going to say. Once you get out of the academy, you just got to qualify. So there's not a whole lot of maybe extra handgun training that takes place.
Yeah, there was, especially depending on your department. Mine was relatively big, and then there's other departments that have training as well.
Right.
And basically, you would put in the IDC inter-department communication and request to like your sergeant or lieutenant and say, like, it was upon you, right? You could go look through trainings and stuff. We had a database within our portal online. And you could go look and, okay, there's tactical night shoot training coming up.
You could just show up to sign up for.
Yeah. And so in some cases, if it was in your division's budget, they would pay for it. Or in other cases, if you really wanted to do it in your IDC or your request to your supervisor, you would say, hey, I'm going to pay for it. I just need the day off.
Right.
I'll cover everything.
Right.
I just really want to take this class. And sometimes it was maybe for your resume or just whatever.
Or just because you like to shoot, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did they concentrate on things like mag changes and how to do it correctly up in front of your face and stuff like that? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. And then it was, come up from the chest and out. And so, we
drive out.
We develop, even being able to, as you're doing that, you might have to press that trigger prior to having that aim. And so it was
loaded up.
Yeah.
Bang if you have to. Yeah. I don't know how that looks on the screen. Oh my, look at that pinky loaded up. There
and I would say that was a different thing than shooting, say, like you're aiming, you're looking through your sights.
Right.
We had to develop that to where you won't be able to look through your sights.
You're point shooting.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays you probably can a little bit, right? Because a lot of places are being issued like even red dots, and those are meant to use with both eyes open. And was that even a thing when you were on the force, or? Yeah.
At some point, you're trying to do both eyes.
Well, open. Did they have red dots? Did they have optics?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No,
I wasn't sure back then.
What we're training on, and that would be, say, like another class you could put in and say, hey, I want to take this red dot class.
I want to learn optics.
Same thing with rifle. Rifle was, we didn't qualify on rifle in the academy, but after you could take a course and then get qualified.
So do you think, and you maybe you don't know, because I'm just wondering, like if someone, was getting into this and they're like, hey man, I want to put this optic like on my department issued gun. They'll say it was cut for an optic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they were, but would that have to be like a department wide thing? Like they'd have to like approve, okay, everyone, we're going to carry optics on our handguns now, or like
everyone did have their own individual thing. It's just about the range master, whoever's the range master, which would be what was that was usually a lieutenant. I want to say there'd be the sergeant there and a lieutenant, and basically go to them and like, hey,
I want to do this,
is this good, do you approve? And then they would take a look at it over at the range and approve it.
So could you do you guys couldn't do any aftermarket stuff to your service weapons, as far as like you couldn't do anything with the trigger?
As long as it's approved by the range master.
Oh, really? They didn't they didn't say, hey, look, you can't, for like court reasons, if you have to use your firearm, and this is what we want to know, that every gun was the same.
No, but it could come up though, obviously, in court or something.
Yeah.
And so I don't personally know anyone who went that far with it. Because that obviously is something that come up in court, perhaps.
Was there some of them that were just really way more into like their firearms and stuff than others? It was just like just like normal life. There's guys who were super into it. That didn't necessarily translate like
into being a good cop, though.
Well, right,
Yeah,
right. But
yeah.
you know, I think a Hightower off of Police Academy.
Pulling that- yeah. We had some large. We actually, one of the lieutenants, one of my former, he was a sergeant and he became a lieutenant, maybe even up to captain. But he was a former football NFL guy. So
It wasn't.
Who,
Excuse me. It wasn't Hightower. Hightower's a big tall.
no,
dude.
yeah, it was
Who
the
was
other
that
guy.
Who was that gun guy? God, I even use this picture in my PowerPoint.
Yeah. I picture the little
I
his little
could
curly hair.
Well, yeah. What's his? I can't even
Yeah, I
think
can't
now.
remember.
I lost it.
Yeah. Hightower was a big
Tall dude.
I
Yeah,
mean, he was a
That's
former
what-
NFL player too. I think.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of that guy's name now. Yeah, I knew it. Like,
and he was in,
I knew
I
it
think, up to
yesterday.
like Police Academy 3 or
Yeah,
something.
and I tell you
too.
what,
He was
for all
on it.
you younger folks that haven't seen Police Academy, because I will use this movie reference in my permit. I've actually had permit classes now where like no one will laugh, like no one gets my movie reference,
Yeah.
and then I have to explain it like a dummy, and I'm just like, yeah, I feel old. I'm feeling old. So, well, that's pretty interesting. I always wondered how that worked. Now let's talk about this. What did you guys have to have was there like a physical fitness thing that you guys had to do every year?
No, that was another thing
I'm
that
curious.
wasn't so great. No, once you pass the same conflict is what it's called in the academy.
You don't have to.
Nope, there's nothing. Some police departments, sheriff's departments have some kind of incentive. There was a couple ways I've seen it handled. One was like you get, I don't know, like a 5% pay bonus if you pass. If they say might have a test,
Right.
you choose to take it, and if you take it and pass, you get some extra bonus pay. The other thing I saw was that they incentivize you, so they say like you're working a 10-hour shift.
Right.
One of those hours you can dedicate to the gym.
And you guys had a gym you had access to, kind of?
Yeah, different divisions, and some departments. My department didn't.
Did you
do
go
that,
to like
but-
your own gym if you had to?
No, it was typically like the departments I knew that did it had their own gym.
So my question is, and this is not
weight room is.
even a question, but it's a thought I've always had. If you've got a job
Mm-hmm.
where you possibly have to shoot someone, you possibly have to defend yourself, wouldn't it behoove someone to be in like pretty decent shape? I'm not saying you got to be a bodybuilder. I'm not saying you got to be Mr. Olympian, but I'm not picking on law enforcement. But I've seen some that are like, and I mean, could you even run around your car?
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
I mean, for personal safety, I think it is.
if you're trying to get
important.
home safely at the end of the day,
Yeah, I think it's definitely important. Some of the OGs might say like they become more savvy, so like I rode with guys who they're like, I'm not getting out of my car to chase someone. They call the younger deputies, or they're just like, I'm gonna take my car and go around. Either way, I would
But
say
you
it's bad to depend on that.
I mean, you show up to like a domestic and it goes south on you, and all of a sudden you've got to fight.
Yeah,
you can't stay in your car for that, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And so you have to know. And I like to follow this back into, and whenever it's funny because I'll watch this, we'll do this podcast, and because I'm talking about, and we've talked about this before, because I'm talking about physical fitness, because I'm talking about just being physically fit and how it affects carrying a firearm, how it affects you being prepared. And we talk about it won't. And I talk about exercise, like the downloads will be down. It won't get downloaded near as much. And it happens every single time. But even if you're not law enforcement and you're going to carry a gun, like you need to be able to possibly fight for 30 seconds, fight for a minute. You need to be able to go from a level heart rate to your heart rate spiking in just a couple of seconds because you're trying to defend your family, or you're running, you're chasing someone who maybe nabbed your kid, or you're fighting someone at your vehicle, or you're running across the parking lot like with your kid. I mean, there's so many people that they can't do that. And unfortunately, I think just because they have a gun and they possibly know how to use the gun really well, right? I'm not saying just because you're out of shape doesn't mean you don't know how to use the gun, but it all works hand in hand. I mean, Defensive situations happen up close and personal, 5 to 7 feet. And there's a really good chance it could go hands on.
Yeah. And they do. My experience, was that. And like you said, there was one where I got into a conflict based off of, it wasn't domestic, but it was a landlord tenant conflict in which the guy had a history and all that. But anyways, I ended up rolling on the ground and dealing with that.
Right.
And it was like a thing of like, I had partners there, and eventually they jumped in.
They were watching you, weren't they?
A little bit. And given it was like a confined space. It was like at that point, it is like, if I'm not in shape, I'm dead right here. Right. Because it is, number one, you want to be a good partner, so you should be in shape so that you can help out. And in the case of self-defense, right, your family, you don't want to be huffing and puffing,
right,
unable to, whether it's lift someone up or whatever it is. But also, it comes to that. Those like situations I were in, if I were to have a timer, they probably weren't that long, but they felt forever. And you're rolling and, feel a hand going for your firearm. You're doing all this stuff. And probably end of the day, it may have been like little 30-second little intervals or whatever.
But your heart rate leaps up so quick because what are you doing? You essentially, you're not just rolling around, just arguing with your brother.
Yeah.
A friendly little whatever. This is you're not playing grab ass with your friend. This is okay, if this guy gets my gun, he's going to freaking kill me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he doesn't like me right now. And whether he gets my gun or not, he's probably going to try and kill me. And what if he has a gun?
Yeah.
And we're tangled up together, and, I'm trying to keep his hand away from his gun or his arms away from me or from my neck. And you got to be.
Yeah. And the thing they taught us in our martial arts, I forgot what we called it, but in that physical training too, it's like that gun's only yours as long as it's on your body.
Yeah.
Someone who's more fit takes it away from you.
It could be
congratulations. You were the out of shape guy who brought the gun, who brought the gun to a fist fight, and now the other guy has the gun. So good luck with that.
Yeah. So that's it's just interesting to me with law enforcement officers, but even with people that can still carry. Honestly, they I've seen, and everyone deserves to have a firearm to be able to defend themselves if they want.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some physical elements that people have, and I'm not picking on that at all. But it's like there's so much. And I'm going to tell you, being in shape, if you can be in shape, is a lot easier to carry a firearm.
Yeah.
And being in shape and having upper body and core strength and arm strength and you're able to endure makes it It makes it actually easier and more efficient for you to draw your firearm and control and mitigate the recoil a lot better, because you use your body to do that, right?
Yeah.
And if you've got the grip strength and you got everything, you can just do a better job of that. And people don't get that.
Yeah. And even preventing certain things from coming about. Now, anybody can be harmed, and there's even guys who are 6'6", 280 pounds of muscle, and they go to the bar, and sometimes people get drunk and they actually become a target because someone wants to just. Right. But for the most part, especially within law enforcement, I would think it is that, hey, even being in shape could prevent, that guy's just thinking about doing something and looks and go, I think that guy looks like he would be serious about taking me down. Yeah. That could maybe end the fight before it ever even starts. They call it
the intimidation factor.
Yeah.
Right? If you look like a sheep, you're going to get treated like a sheep.
Yeah.
If you look like you're going to be easy prey, you're going to be easy prey.
Yeah.
If you look like, hey, you might put up a little bit of a fight. It's not good for a bad guy to get hurt. It's not good. Yeah, it's not good for a fight to ensue, because what does a fight do? A fight draws attention in the parking lot of Walmart.
Yeah.
Right. The bad guy wants to find you.
Yeah.
Do whatever he wants to do to you and get the hell out of there while you're huffing and puffing, leaning against your car because you almost had a heart attack, right? And you weren't able to fight back. They don't want some. Why do you think they pick on the people that aren't paying attention?
Yeah.
And the weak.
Yeah. Think about it. Someone comes, sticks you up at gunpoint, right, to take your wallet. If you look like you could probably run after them when they turn to go away, they're probably not going to want your wallet. They're not. They don't want to turn around and have you like right on them, right? They're gonna go, no, that guy is. I'm gonna take his wallet, but he's gonna get me as soon as I grab it, right?
Yep.
So it's gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go take that guy who looks like he has a donut in one hand. Like I'll go take his wallet.
That's why personally, when I go into Walmart, I make sure I'm wearing the shortest running shorts that I can, so everyone sees my massive quads.
Do you wear the Flash T-shirt?
They do. So they either think this guy's going to fight back, or he's going to chase me and catch me. One of the two. Or they're like, that guy's wearing really short shorts, like a 4-inch inseam. Like I just don't want to tangle with that.
Or they just I don't even want to know where he's hiding his wallet.
I'm afraid something's going to fall out. or it just leaves them so unsure of. I'm not quite sure where he's hiding his gun. I don't know if he's got a gun or not. So you always got to leave them guessing.
Yeah,
you always got to. But it's interesting though, because I've actually had some classes where people ask me. I always joke about it, like even private classes and stuff. Like they're shooting real good, and I introduce a timer, and it kind of messes people up a little bit. And then a couple of people I've actually asked. I said, "Well, let's get your heart rate up."
Mm-hmm.
Some of them look at me and laugh, like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah.
And I've actually had a few people that they're like, "Okay." And I'm like, I tell you what I want you to do is I want you to do some jumping jacks. Nothing crazy. I try to get them to do burpees, but nobody ever wants to do those. Do some jumping jacks. I want you to run as fast as you can to my fence, which is not very far away, and back. And then I want you to do like 20 more jumping jacks. And we'll leave your gun right here. Your target's there. We'll leave your gun loaded, round chambered and everything, just sitting on the table. And when you run, I want you to, we know what you've done when you're standing here static. I want you to be able to run back and pick up that firearm and take those shots. It's interesting to see like where those shots end up, because your heart rate is now elevated, and how aerobic are you, and can you, the healthier you are, the more in shape you are, you can bring that heart rate down relatively quickly, to where you can control it. If you're not, it's all over the board, and it's just it surprises a lot of people. And I'm like, this is what's going to happen. And it could be someone trying to fight you. It could be someone chasing you. It could be the fact that someone's kicked open your door at 2:00 in the morning, and if you think you're just nonchalantly going to walk down the hallway or down the stairs with your firearm, and your heart rate's not going to be beating. Granted, you haven't done any physical exercise, but just knowing that there's something going on, right, and there's someone is possibly in your house or something's happened, your heart rate's going to be through the roof.
Yeah, and I mean, I would tell people to ask yourselves of what circumstance do you think you're going to, if you're carrying a firearm,
what are you going to be in? Yeah.
What circumstance do you think in which you're going to have a static shoot off?
Yeah.
And no, if you think about the movies, it's like that's for the purpose of making the movie. They have to have people, for the most part, stand still, or they edit all those cuts in, right?
Mm-hmm.
In real life, there's probably not going to be much opportunity in which it's like the Wild Wild West, standing 15 yards away from the other guy. You guys, quick draw and shoot each other. No, it's going to be physical activity. It's going to be involved one way or another if you're using your firearm, especially if you're tactical about it. Like, you should be moving as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the person who's the perpetrator also is probably going to be moving. So it's in your benefit to be fit as possible and to understand
and be able to move quickly.
Yeah. Because
if you physically can,
because it's not going to be, I'm holding your kid hostage here and you're going to pull out your gun, aim at my head so you hit me and not no, it's probably going to be something way more active, in which or even if they break into your house, right? They don't break into your house, stand at the door and say, aha, I'm here, right? They're going to be moving, especially if they find out you're there. It's not going to be a static shoot. It's going to be someone, jumping behind your couch, moving into your kitchen, you're coming down the stairs. You're going to have to be physically fit. And then also you want to stay in the fight as well. So you have to be able to recover. So say it is, you don't have your firearm out, whatever it is, you have to roll with somebody for a little bit, right?
Yep.
You want to be able to get up from that situation, still be able to pull your firearm out and to have enough oxygen going and everything to be able to still perform. You don't want to roll on the ground for 15 seconds and then
feel like you're gonna die.
yeah, maybe you survive, but then it's like, well, now you're done because you can't even get up off the ground.
Well, and it's people. It's all about having that strength and the energy enough to be able to create that space.
Yeah.
And give yourself time to get to safety, get to cover, get to your firearm. And people need to really think long and hard about this, because it might be the fact that you're the only thing standing between that guy and maybe your wife's not even home.
Yeah.
But you're the only thing standing between that guy and your 9-year-old upstairs.
Yeah.
Or your 9-year-old that's standing behind you. That's it.
Yeah.
You and your firearm. And if you can't manage that, they're going to get they may get your 9-year-old, they may get your wife, whatever, and do whatever they want to. And, you touched on, you might have to move right, you might have to move left, that type of thing. So when we teach the draw here, we teach everything in a step-by-step process. And we make sure, and a lot of times people think they can learn this all. I mean, not be like proficient at it, but they think they can learn it all in just a 2-hour private class, and they can't. So when you learn to draw, it's a lot of finger gun. It's a lot of unloaded stuff. It's a lot of repetition with an unloaded firearm or a training firearm from the holster in the classroom. And then why you are in there, once you kind of get that down, once you get it down, it'll be a little smoother, won't be perfect. Then we add in the trigger press. Okay. The dry fire, the trigger press. So it's, you draw the firearm up, you go to extend it out. And as you do so, you're prepping that trigger. So at the end of that, you can fire that gun whenever, but we try to press it out, acquire those sights and click to the end of the extension, right? So you have that. And then once they have that, then we talk about, and we're just doing this from a static position. Okay. It's step by step. And then we go, okay, well, let's move. Do this and step back. Let's see how that goes. Draw that firearm, get on that trigger, extend it up while you're stepping back. Do that step right. Do that step left. And then I'll call it out, right? We're still with an unloaded gun. We're probably inside the classroom at this point, like with the air conditioner running. And I'll say, okay, threat, I'll go right, left, back, whatever. You don't know what I'm going to do. And let's see how you respond to this. And then from there, we will go outside and we'll kind of start over again, because now, at least here at Patriot Defense, let's load one round. You're going to have one round in your magazine. Let's chamber it. Let's holster your gun. Now we're going to do it from a static spot again.
Yeah.
Static spot. Draw, fire, draw, fire, draw, fire. Now draw, prep the trigger, fire, draw, prep the trigger. And then it's left, right, back. And then I start calling it out. Right. Yeah. And that's, as I bang stuff up in here, that's how we do it. But you have to be able to move, and you have to be able to move quickly. And if that's the way you're going to do it, you have to be able to move without tripping, without dragging your feet. And that leads me to another thing where, let's talk about footwear. If you're coming to a firearms class, you need to have decent footwear on.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's just a lot to it, and people don't understand. They take their permit class and they stand at a table.
Yeah.
And they fire rounds when they're told to. And that is part of it. That's a beginning. But that's not the way being in a confrontation is going to work out.
Yeah. So the academy itself that I went through was 956 hours. And that's without all the extra studying and practice,
right,
physical activity. But 956 hours, I would guesstimate probably about 350 of those hours was on firearms training.
Wow.
And then, so there's that aspect, right? So anyone who thinks they could come do just a couple-hour class and leave proficient, it's like, no, it takes a while. It's ongoing.
It takes a long while.
And then also the thing to think about, right? Think about, again, who you're going to be in a confrontation with. The thing that helped us train so hard in law enforcement was knowing, like, those inmates, because I worked for the county, and so you work the jails as well. Those inmates they got nothing else to do but practice all this stuff. So that's what, when it comes to gun retention, all that do. They're training on that too. They're looking at what holster you have, things like that, right? So if you're opening carry and stuff, realize if there is someone who has bad intentions, they're scoping you out, in which physical a physical fight probably will come of it, because they're looking, okay, he has that holster, I know how to do that, I walk up behind him, grab that. So you're probably you might feel someone just going for your gun. You're going to have to figure out a way to physically restrain them and prevent them and keep the retention of your firearm, because that's what they're doing in the prison. Like, what else do you have to do?
Yeah, they're learning how to disarm you. They're learning how to win fights.
Make Pruno and win fights.
And they are comparing notes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's all they have to do.
And in a lot of county jails, I wouldn't be surprised if Idaho is similar, but in California, you had a couple of propositions that had more hardened criminals who got prison time able to serve in county jail. And so it's basically a mentor project.
Yeah.
In which so a lot of these even more lower level guys are coming out of jail with a lot of skills that can hurt common person if they're not physically fit and able to do gun retention and know exactly what all goes in to self-defense other than just having your gun.
And that's, so many people think that that's the end of the story. And I know they get tired of hearing me say this all the time, because I say it in all my classes. I was like, the best way I think I worded it was, was in my last permit class. And that was, this is not a training class. This is a learning class. That's all this is. This is a learning class. This is a class to help you. This is not a training. We're not training you to do anything except for maybe to be safe.
Yeah.
That is absolutely all we're doing in this class. And so I guess just kind of wrap the show up here. What it's all about is get that firearm, learn how to use it. Know that there's more than just your permit class. Know that you need to be able to move. Know that being physically fit is going to be nothing but a benefit to you. And I'm not trying to tout on myself because, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff I need to work on. But
same here.
One of the things that I really that I wanted to do, and this sounds funny to a lot of people. I used to be almost 300 pounds, and I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone else, because I still struggle every day, man. Every day I've gone down in weight, I've been down to like 184 pounds, which is probably a little light for me. And then I've been up again to 225 pounds. And right now I'm sitting pretty right around 210, 211. I could probably stand to losing a little more, or at least gain some muscle. But one of my rewards one of my goals was, when I lost all that weight, is I always wanted to be able to appendix carry. Right? I wanted to carry appendix because it's quicker. It's you more control the firearm. And I wanted to be able to do that. And so I had my HK, my VP9, and I wanted to buy myself a really nice appendix holster. And I did, and I held on to it. And eventually one day, lo and behold, I mean, and big guys can appendix carry. Don't get me wrong. It's much more comfortable if you're not that big of a guy. And that was one of my goals, right? And then I was able to learn to draw from that position. I was able to move quicker. My heart rate was better. Yeah. And this is just all encompassing. So when you hear someone say, I'm going to carry a gun, right? Know that this is like a lifestyle choice. I mean, and everything you do is going to affect it. I'm not trying to scare people away from it, but man, look at your physical fitness. Look at the training and the time you're going to put in to learning to use that gun, to the way you dress, to the clothes you wear in the winter. Winter's easy, but to the clothes you wear in the summer, and how into this are you going to be? Are you going to learn the laws? Are you going to learn all this stuff? I mean, there's like a whole lifestyle situation that goes with it.
And thinking about the lifestyle of the people who you might be defending yourself against. I've fought a couple of meth heads. Don't be out of shape and fight a meth head. If a meth head is determined that they're trying to get something from you or to harm you, and you're out of shape, they'll get through it. They'll persist, basically, and
it's like that.
They're a lot stronger.
It's like Talladega Nights. It's like Ricky Bobby. It's like a spider monkey all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Yeah, and they're strong. So think about who you'd be fighting, in which do you want to be out of shape fighting against your likely suspect.
Gotcha. So yeah, it's just something to think about. I know I'm looking up, and I don't know. I haven't really checked. I tried to, but I don't even know if this is going through on Facebook. It did for a little while. We got a comment. I don't know if it went through on YouTube. I didn't know if it went through on Facebook. But we were getting some views, and now we're not, which is fine. It's either went down, or I think there's some. We asked Bathroom Paul to be on today with us, but there's some pretty important football games, I believe. I think the playoffs. San Francisco 49ers. He said something about there's a big game for them. And so he was he's been quoting San Francisco 49ers stuff on Facebook all damn day. So I think it's a big day for football. I don't do football. I don't do much of anything.
I lived that life for a while, and yeah, I've
you backed off a little. That's right. Now you do the
backed off a
now
lot
you do the Patriot Defense podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Much more important. It's
gave
much
up football,
more
got into guns.
Yeah, it's much more important. But anyhow, we tried this out, and I am still going to keep trying this. I do want to get to a point where once I start getting some more views, right, some more views on this, and some more participation, I do want to set up a show where I actually throw the phone number up there and someone can call in. Just random people just call in and be a guest. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be.
Hopefully it works. Hopefully my internet connection is good. But if you watch this, you can grab this audio, you can grab the podcast version and share it on social media. You can grab this live. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. You can actually grab this. You could share this on your social media. That would help a bunch. Let's get more viewers, more listeners. I know I just talked about it, I think yesterday or today, and said, hey, we're going to go live again. We haven't been live for probably, it's been over a year at least. So we'll just kind of got to work it all up again, right? Gain the momentum again. And that's what we'll do. If you want to support the podcast, just listen to it, share it. But you can also check out Patreon. The link to the Patreon will be in the show notes, and check that out. That'd be fantastic, because going live I feel like I'm begging for money all the time, but going live is not free.
Yeah.
It costs a little bit of money. And I got to give you like $1 to come over here every time. So you get to
or a goose egg.
Or a goose egg. That's right. So I appreciate you guys all listening. Now we will try and be back hopefully on Wednesday.
Yeah, sounds good.
We'll see if we can dig our way through the freaking snow. Hopefully we don't get any more of this white bullshit. That's what I call it. If we can make that happen. But we won't be live on Wednesdays. We're going to only be live on the weekend shows. So that's where we're going to leave that. You guys have a great week. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And I guess I need to shut this off right there.